He's the slick talking, jive walking, world traveling, your favorite morning host. It's the one and the only. I'm Josh Talker.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Good morning. A little bit of a different backdrop here. Today is 9/11, and I might be uploading this later today in the evening. It is 7:30 in the morning here, and we are in Lisbon, or as the locals pronounce it, Lisboa. I am near the Arco de Triunfa Augusta. I have a banana, instant coffee. I did not bring any creamer, so I'm dealing with, I think, Nescafe instant coffee. And I made basically hot water with some bottled water that we brought. The Nescafe. I'm not a huge fan of Nescafe. My younger son Tyler, who is awake right now, is disappointed with his dad for drinking Nescafe. I am disappointed today. You know, it's just one coffee. Here we are. Got some dates and a plum. I'm not sure how this plum is going to be. We had a couple on the drive. Didn't taste very good. So we're here in Lisbon on 9/11, of all days. Last night we walked around the Arco de Triunfa Augusta. Also went for supper at a vegan restaurant called A26. It was a recommended vegan restaurant to us. Good. You know, overall, I spent €100 for the four of us to eat. We all had a few too many espressos, probably. I had it was like a pasta, like a local pasta dish, bread stuffed with meat, fake meat, the vegan restaurant, mock meat. Man, we're here, Morning Banana Show number 191, and it's 2024. We're here together. I'm just waking up in Lisbon. Describing my food from last night is not something that I'm top of the list of things to do right now. It was good, needless to say. Follow my X account and I'll share the photos and the review that I'm going to leave them later today. Walking around this part of Lisbon is a trip for me and my kids because we've been to the Arc de Triomphe in France, in Paris. We've been to the Champs-Elysees and walked the various malls there around the Louvre. I've went to the Eiffel Tower. So a lot of this architecture that's here, what they call 18th century limestone and marble architecture laid out in perfectly symmetrical straight lines and giant condo plazas that stretch as far as the eye can see, laid out in perfect order with each other. I've seen things like this before, not just here in Lisbon, but in France, and also they have another Arc de Triomphe, similar in structure in Berlin, Germany, which I've also seen. So I was curious and I looked up on like a list of arches or famous megalithic archways like that. Interesting side note. Yeah, there's a lot in the world. One in India, which I have not seen in person. But there's a few, needless to say. So we are in town on business. Something I can say on behalf of our family is that in Portugal, if you're thinking about moving to Portugal, something that you might not know is if you want to have your kids in school, to go to school here, they're going to need the equivalent of the social insurance number or social security number. Here they call it the NIF number, NIF. And I wish somebody would have told me this. I have my own NIF number for the rest of my life. It's my social security number in Portugal. Desiree has hers, obviously. Nobody told us that we needed NIF numbers for the kids, so here we are, and now we know that the kids needed NIF numbers. As of 4 or 5 days ago, they have their own NIF numbers now. So we're going to go to the embassy here. The embassy of Canada in Portugal. And with the intent to just finish up some paperwork. It's kind of personal, but I got married when I was in my 20s, early 20s. Got divorced also in my early 20s. Imagine, they don't tell you when you're a kid how these things affect you for the rest of your life. But here I am, 20 years later, in a European country, and I have to prove that I'm divorced in Canada. So I need to get the documents again. They can't just be documents from Canada either. They have to be notarized or what's called apostilled here, which means my documents from Canada, from the specific province I was married in, and then the specific province I was divorced in, have to be shipped to Portugal, and then they also have to be notarized or apostilled here, just to prove that I was divorced, so that when your boy gets married again, to Desiree, that this is something that the Portuguese officials can look at and say, okay. So they think it's really important here to know that I'm actually divorced. So I had a divorce party in 2006 when I got divorced for the first time. Clearly I have not been eager to rush into a marriage since 2006, at least. 2006 was like almost 20 years ago, right? So here we are. My mind is thinking, well, I've been with Desiree for like 10 years now. We should get married. And just preparing for that has been a challenge, to say the least, here in Europe. But yeah, I did a live stream the other day on my X account. You can feel free to follow me there, where I was like, we made it, boys. I was driving around to get water. And yeah, I mean, the reality is, I'm just a kid from St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, near Niagara. And I've always felt in my heart like I was meant for greater things than just living in St. Catharines. But, yeah, I don't know. But I balanced that with, maybe it was my ego talking as I got older. You know, if you would have told me all these places that I would have traveled to. And I'll tell you this, being on the other side of the traveling across the ocean to Europe thing, being in Europe now, it is way easier to travel Europe when you're in Europe. So if you can do the hard thing of getting to Europe, like crossing the ocean and landing at our farm, you can stay at Love Farm Stay in Portugal. You can stay with friends if you have friends. I can be your buddy in Portugal. But you can start your travels in Europe, from Europe, and it's way easier when you're based out of Europe than trying to do it from North America. So that's my advice to you. If you ever feel like traveling Europe, like I'm telling my friends, hey, you want to come to Europe? Like land at the Faro International Airport in Portugal. I love the Faro International Airport. It was nice every time I've been there. And then while you're there, you can hang out with me or stay somewhere local and then book flights through something like Ryanair or some like cheap airfare or trains. But my advice would be to take Ryanair. And you can fly on the cheap pretty much everywhere in Europe. And then when you land in somewhere like Spain or land in Rome or wherever you want to land, you can bus around or travel through there, but it's way easier to plan a trip in Europe, to travel Europe while you're in Europe is my advice. So we see a lot of tourists and who knows how they're doing it, but that would be my advice now to my past self if I ever wanted to travel Europe. Make some friends in Europe, go visit them, and then from there, go visit other places and try to keep coming back to your home base. Because you could easily spend a couple of years traveling Europe, I would say, and not see it all. There's a lot to cover. And just one of those things that you will notice is if you go to France, like I have, if you go to Paris like I've been, and then you come to Portugal and look at the architecture, you're going to be like, huh, so Roman influenced architecture from the 18th century, and in Lisbon they have the story of how they rebuilt it after the last major earthquake. And all I can say is, cool story, bro. That is not what happened. I have been in construction for a minute, and the Portuguese do not build like they did with the Arc de Triomphe de Augusto anymore. So there's some history that's going on here that's a little bit of shenanigans in history going on, because look up this place in China, I forgot the name, Tian, the Ganzhou or whatever. They took the mall where the Eiffel Tower is, and I think even some surrounding architecture, and they basically photocopied it in China and rebuilt it as like a model, a real life model. And the ingenuity that it would take to do that, to just like basically photocopy a town, is pretty wild. And being having been to Paris and then now here in Lisbon, it's like somebody took like these giant megalithic structures, including the Arc de Triomphe, and was like, hey, that looked really good there, let's do it here in Lisbon. But like, if you've been to Lisbon, it's like up and down, up and down. The landscape is just bananas, and they want you to believe that they built these things with horse and buggy and lots of man hours. And like I said, you can see some of my old videos or my posts, like the Portuguese don't build like that anymore. So like, as far as quality goes, it's been going in one direction. So there's no way that this was built by Portuguese people, just saying that out loud. neat stuff going on in Europe as far as if you want to put on your detective hat and snoop around world history. There's so much world history here. A lot less in Canada, where I'm from. So yeah, if you want to come visit me on the farm, you can look me up. Love Farm Stay. We can chat. If you feel like supporting the show, you can buy me a coffee. Clearly, I need some coffee donations. So if you want to go to my Buy Me a Coffee page, it's buymeacoffee.com/AdamJosh.com. Link in the description below. And I will use your money and get myself a proper coffee. Thank you for watching the Morning Banana Show. I'm going to go to the embassy and get some documents and then head back to my farm in the Algarve of Delhi. It was a roll of the dice with the plum. I'm not sure what's going on with the plums. It doesn't taste right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.